All right, let's see. Now, lesson 3, there's not, you can see I'm going to kind of just breeze my way through lesson 3. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on lesson 3. It's about insuring a vehicle. So we'll talk about this, but I think that what I'm going to do is I'm just going to explain what lesson 3 is all about, meaning kind of explain the words. So this is one of those questions. Lesson 3, there's no calculations. It's just talking and opinion, right? So because it's talking and opinion, everyone can jump in and offer some opinion if you do have any opinions on or any knowledge of any of the things that we're talking about here, okay? So when we insure a vehicle, thanks, Jane. When we insure a vehicle, this is what we're worried about, right? I'll make sure everyone gets the books before you leave, okay? When we insure a vehicle, this is what first of all, you have to go down to an insurance agent and insure the vehicle, right? You'll see that insurance agents have a little sign in their window, we sell auto pack, things like that. Is there anyone here who drives a car? Who has insured a car? Cynthia? Jane, what about you? Yeah, you've insured a car too, and you know this too. So you can jump in too with info. They want to know what car you drive, what kind of car you drive. Now, what do you think? How do you think insurance or the cost is affected by what kind of car you drive? Because everyone will pay a different amount for auto insurance. It's not the same cost for everyone. I drive an older vehicle, so my insurance is far less than someone who has a brand new luxury vehicle, right? That tells you something. So vehicle information, the make, the model, the year. We could say newer, more expensive vehicles cost more to insure. It's the same thing as when we were doing house insurance, right? That now we're insuring a car. When we insured houses, if you had lots of property to insure at a really expensive house, it costs more, right? Same with car. And that's because if it gets damaged, it costs to fix it. So that's one thing. Vehicle use. Let's just read. There's 2 kinds of insurance in Manitoba, all-purpose and pleasure. So we'll just talk about these and you can ask me questions. I'm just going to kind of talk through and explain them and then we'll kind of, that'll be it for this lesson. All-purpose is if you drive your car to and from work regularly, and pleasure is if you don't take your car out more than 4 times a month. It's cheaper. So all-purpose costs more. What type of insurance do you think I have? Do you think I have all-purpose or pleasure? Knowing what I do for a living and all-purpose, right? Now, I guess I could have pleasure if I was a bus person, but I already told you I have a car. So I drive my car to work every single day. I need all-purpose insurance. I can't take out pleasure, okay? Where you live, there are 4 territories, kind of like the house, right? Winnipeg and territory 2, 3, and 4. And it's affected by the likelihood of an accident and availability of repair facilities. So obviously, if you live in Winnipeg, you have access to lots of repair facilities. If you live further out, your insurance might be more further away, kind of like being further away from a fire hall, right? Your driving record. Every year you drive, you get points, okay? So a person with lots of accidents has less credit, right? So let's just do this. Maybe I'll do it in blue so it kind of pops out. You pay higher insurance if you're in a lot of accidents. It's kind of common sense, right? So this goes here. Do you agree with that? Should people with getting in lots of accidents pay more?
If it's your fault.
Yeah, if it's your fault. Yeah. I should say, yeah, you're right, Jen. Do you think that someone who gets in a lot of accidents should pay more than someone who gets in no accidents? Yes, and that's what the government thinks too. And you're right, Jane, if it's not your fault. Or sorry, if it is your fault, you pay more. Hmm?
That there's the people says my merit is going down. Merit or merit?
Right. Well, there's so what it is kind of a system like this on your driving license. I think it goes up to. Yeah, I can't remember how many. So you've got credits, right? Credits, and I can't remember how many there are, and then 0, and then you get into demerits. You can rack up all these demerits. This is bad. This is good. So if you're at the high end of the good, there's only so many credits you can have. I think 15 credits. Okay, so how many? If you're at the top of that, you pay the cheapest insurance that you could probably get. The more, as you move down, you pay more and more in insurance.
It's really expensive.
Is it in the demerits?
It's really expensive.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So they're trying to deter bad drivers. They're also trying to get bad drivers to say, hey, you know what, I better change my driving habits. It's getting too expensive. Okay, deductible. You guys are experts in deductibles, agreed?
Yeah.
Just like in home, like it was nice to do the home because lots of this is transferable, lots of the terms. You can choose 5, 3, 2, or 100 deductible. This is something that people have to keep remembering. A lower deductible means you pay more for insurance, okay? Lower deductibles have additional benefits, but what you want to take away is if you choose to pay for a $100 deductible, it will be a higher insurance cost per year, okay? The reason is if I get into an accident, I only have to pay one, and if I'm termed to be at fault or 50-50, I have to pay my deductible, my initial cost of getting the repair done. A 100 deductible is way cheaper than paying a $500 deductible, right? So you're thinking, well, why doesn't everyone choose 100 deductible then? Then they're only going to charge me $100 to go get my car fixed instead of $500. If you do that, that just means you're paying more per year for the insurance, okay? So generally speaking, people who aren't in a lot of accidents, who drive, who have a really good driving record, they probably will choose the 500 deductible because it's cheap insurance and they are kind of comfortable and they think that they probably won't get into a lot of accidents. That's why they choose the expensive deductible, right? So you just want to keep this in mind. Lower deductible, higher insurance. That's something you could write on your study sheet, right? Third-party liability. That means it covers damage to other people, other people's property if you are at fault, right? Like if you have someone else in the car with you and you're in an accident, or you run into someone's house, right? It's highly recommended. Most people get third-party liability, I think, just because it's not that much more, but this is the big thing, right? It covers damage to other people or other people's property if you're at fault. Okay? These last two are they're not as important as the third party or your deductible level to think about. I think auto loss of use. I think most people I know probably maybe 50-50 have it. Do you have this one, Jane? Do you have auto loss of use? Do you know? I don't think I took it either. Yeah, it's more. It adds a little bit more to your overall cost. So what it is if you're in an accident, they'll supply you with a loaner car. Basically, Autopack will give you a loaner car. It depends on the garage you go to. Some garages do that anyway, right? For you, it depends. So having this option supplies you with a temporary replacement vehicle if your car's been in an accident. Now, for sure, it's a problem. If you don't have a car to drive and it's going to take a week or two to fix, lots of people will find someone else to drive them or they'll hop the bus for the week. It's not a huge problem. Or your garage, some garages do that anyway. Yeah, and if you can walk everywhere, right? New car protection. Okay, this applies when a brand new car has so much damage it's written off. You normally would receive the current value of the vehicle. This coverage provides you with replacement value. They buy you a new car. This option also increases your insurance premium. Honestly, I can't say much more than this about what's here. I've never driven a new car. I've never had a brand spanking new car. I've always had used. So that you'd have to really think about that too when you purchase your new car, brand new car, if you want to get that too. And you have to figure out, and every car is different because it depends on the make and model of the car you buy. You have to decide for yourself if it's worth it, right? It's the AutoPack agent that will tell you how much extra all these things are, okay? So let's just try this. Maybe we'll just hop over. If a person increases their third-party liability, okay, if you increase your third-party liability, what do you think this is going to do to your insurance costs? If you want more coverage, what's it going to do to your cost? Yeah, cost will increase. Why does AutoPack require that you pay a deductible before they cover the cost of damage? Why do you think they want you to pay a deductible?
So it's not all in them?
Yeah. What?
Put something down.
Yeah, it's kind of like putting something down. I think if you don't pay anything, that might tempt people to,
Be more careless.
yeah, more careless.
Or claiming all the time.
Claiming all the time, right? I guess to deter, to stop people from making too many claims.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. What does third-party liability insurance protect you from? What did we say it was again?
Damage to life, property, or
Yeah. I think it ultimately prevents people from suing you, I guess, for damage if they're injured in an accident. It protects you from people suing you, I guess, for damages. That means if they're injured or their property or something is injured, they could go after you for damages, like meaning they could say, you know what, I'm not able to work anymore. You owe me $1 million for the rest of my pay that I can't go to my job anymore, so you have to pay me all the money that I would make at my job. Why would a person choose to pay more for a $200 deductible than $500? Well, we've talked a little about this, right? Maybe they're accident prone, okay? They may get into lots of accidents. So that means if they're in lots of accidents, every time they're in an accident, they only pay $200 instead of $500. Let's hope that's not the reason, or that someone isn't doing that. But if you choose to pay your insurance premium monthly instead of one single payment at the beginning of the year, how do you think that affects the cost of your insurance? Yeah, it increases it. Now, it's going to increase it by a little bit, right? Like it's not double the amount, but basically, you're making, instead of paying all the money you owe at the very beginning of the year, like you're doling it out to them, so you're making them wait a little bit for their money, so it increases the cost. Why do you think paying monthly changes your cost? You are not paying the full amount. When it's due. Okay, so really it's due. Let's say your insurance is due in January. You're not giving them the full amount January. You're giving a little bit January, then February, then March. So you're making them wait. Therefore, they're going to charge you a bit of interest. Why does having a car, what does having a car written off mean? Have you heard that phrase before? Oh, it was written off. Dominic, what does that mean? Written off.
Car's damaged and needs to be replaced, or
Yeah, right here.
like it needs to
Yeah.
be replaced, I guess.
Yeah. So Jane had a good damage beyond repair. Yeah. And right now, it doesn't seem to take much for that to happen, right? Sometimes the car can look fine, and they say, oh, there's $15,000 worth of damage, right? Because everything's plastic now, and everything
Yeah.
just breaks so easily. Describe, yeah? What were you going to say?
Oh, it just adds up quick, and you can't see the inside of
Yeah.
the car, so.
Yeah. Describe the difference between all-purpose and pleasure. Why does one cost more than the other? Well, all-purpose is exactly that, right? All-purpose means you can drive as much as you want. Pleasure, you're limited, right? Pleasure limits the amount you can drive. Now, all-purpose, of course, costs more because you can drive it all the time. You can use it all the time. Costs more. So, you know, most working people would have all-purpose. Now, I would think, who would have pleasure? Describe someone do you think would have pleasure insurance? Oh, does he? Okay. Think about someone's lifestyle who would have pleasure insurance. Who do you think they are? They wouldn't drive every day.
Like nursing mothers. Nursing mothers. Those are maternity leave. Nursing mothers. Those that have a baby.
Or nursing mother.
Oh, nursing mothers. Okay, sir. Nursing mothers. Someone who's not working every day. Retired people,
Oh, yeah.
right? Retired. They can choose to say, you know what, I'm going to do my big grocery shop one day a week.
The weekend.
There are people too, though, that do work but bus it. Like there are lots of people, and it's great when they do, and I think I should try to do that more. Some people bus to work 3 or 4 times, or they bus to work Monday to Friday,
Yeah.
and they only use their car on weekends.
Weekends.
Then get pleasure, right?
Yeah.
That would be, because it is cheaper.
That's such a good plan.
Yeah.
I like that plan. Saves on fossil.
It saves your car too, right?
Yeah.
Do you think a car that's sitting in your driveway and never being driven requires insurance? Why not? This is a tricky one.
It's always needs to be insured, whether it's sitting there or not. You have to pay into it.
Why?
Uh,
It's true.
it's your car. I don't know. You only have to pay for it.
Accident can still happen, like the tree might fall on it, right?
Yeah. It could still be damage sitting in your driveway. There's so many things that could happen, right? Someone could go out of control.
Stolen or something.
It could be stolen. Someone could steal it and drive it, right? Sitting in your driveway. Yeah, so for sure, it still should be. Even if you thought, well, I'm going to put it, I have a special garage like Jay Leno, Cynthia, and okay, so he doesn't, some of his cars he probably doesn't drive because they're collectors, right? Do you think he insures them? Absolutely, right? Because they're worth a lot of money. Anything could happen. A fire could happen, right? Why might a person choose auto loss of coverage for their vehicle? Does selecting this coverage increase your premium? That's when you get a replacement car. They may need a car for work. And can't be without one. And of course, it increases your premium. Janet, do you have the booklet? Yeah, okay. Because you're getting a car, like a car to use, so of course it's another perk. It's going to be, you're going to increase your premium. Okay, the last two questions are from old exams. So it's kind of interesting, the kind of questions they might ask about this. Shauna is at an insurance agency to renew her car policy. Describe 2 changes she could make to lower the cost of her insurance. Okay, so we had on the previous page, there's a bunch of factors. We've kind of been working through them. What's one thing that she could do, that someone could do to lower their insurance cost? Increase? Yeah, she could increase her deductible. Maybe she took out a 100. If she increased it to 500, right? That's one of them. What's another way that you could do? We don't know anything about Shauna, so you could pretend that she's got lots of different kinds of extras on her insurance. What else lowers your insurance cost? Yeah, she could change to pleasure, right? Change to pleasure. Now you could say, well, we don't know what kind of insurance she has. Well, they're letting you pick. They're letting you decide whoever you want Shauna to be. Another thing she could do is you could say she could pay once at the beginning of the year instead of monthly. Yeah. You could say cancel her auto loss of coverage. You could say yeah, reduce her third-party liability. There was one other one I thought. Hang on. There's lots of things you could do, right? There's more than 2. Guess you could push it and say she could start driving better, right? Not get into accidents. She could cancel her new car protection, stuff like that, right? Last question. A retired couple drives 500 kilometers each month to go to the dog park, grocery store, and the mall. State the type of insurance policy their agent would recommend. Let's see. I don't know how many kilometers pleasure goes, but we could say the agent would probably recommend pleasure, right? Okay.
Once a month.
Yeah. Would probably recommend pleasure. And if they're only going out like to these places, they could probably do the grocery store and the mall on the same day too, right? If they wanted to reduce their kilometers, they could do a bunch of errands once. Okay. Okay. So that's just when you're making your study sheet for this unit. I would just kind of do things like write a couple of things that would reduce your insurance cost, and be able, like, just do a quick read of these and make sure you know what they each mean. It's, you know, it's not a huge, there's no calculations, it's just an understanding. The words? Yeah. I understand that, yeah. Okay, so let's go to lesson 4 and let's see what we can just get through. At least we can start through. We'll try and do as much as we can while we're together. Lesson 4 is, now if I just backtrack a sec to center ourselves on this unit, just to explain everything big picture. This is owning and operating a vehicle. So the first 2 were things that you have to be concerned with however you get your vehicle, right? Every vehicle that you drive needs gas. I guess some may be electric, but for the most part, most people in Manitoba own a vehicle that uses gas or diesel, and the vehicle has to go in for repairs, okay? And the vehicle has to be insured. So these things kind of apply to every vehicle. Now we're going to talk about how do you get that vehicle. Again, there's 3 main ways you can get a vehicle. You can either purchase it, okay? So this is outright buying the vehicle. we can buy the vehicle. And we have two ways. You can either buy new or buy used. And we're going to talk about buying. Okay, so you can either buy new, buy used. Or you can buy with a loan. Buy with a car loan. So these are sort of buying used with cash, I think. We're just talking about cash. I can purchase with a loan. And the last one is, just as it says, it's leasing, which is sort of similar to renting. It's not exactly like renting, because you can also rent cars. But basically, you can either buy or lease a car. And lease is sort of like loaning it out for a while. But there are three options for buying, for purchasing. If you want to purchase and outright own the vehicle, you can buy a new car, a used car, or you can buy either of these with a car loan, okay? There's all these options for cars, right? Far more than for houses, because you either buy your home or you rent it. With cars, there's different options, right? There's a little more wiggle room. Okay, so the only time that we have to talk about depreciation is when we're talking about a new vehicle. Do you see how this word starts? It starts with like depressed, or to descend means to go down. If you're depressed, you're kind of down. Depreciation means the value of the car goes down. So, when choosing a vehicle, there must be several considerations made. Okay? But after your house, it could be the second largest expense that you ever make. So you have to be careful. So these are all the things that you might consider, and these are things you might want to put on a study sheet too. Has anyone ever purchased a brand new, or a vehicle? Like Jane, you purchased one, and Cynthia. Oh, Cynthia, when you bought your car, what did you look for? Reliability. Yeah, so safety, right? What color is your car?
It was red.
Red, okay.
I also owned a silver one. I also owned a black one.
Black gets dirty really fast. White apparently is really hard to see on the road. I didn't know that. I thought white would be very visible, and it's not, especially in our climate with all the snow. And white is just very hard for us to see apparently. Red is good. Like have you ever seen those bright neon yellow or green? Those are, like, I don't know if I'd ever buy one, but those are very visible, right? So they're safe. The other thing about safety is there are certain brands that are safer. Some of the brands are really heavy, especially some like Volvo and Subaru, so that they do these tests, safety tests. So if you get hit in one of those, you're safer than obviously something really teeny tiny, I suppose. But these are all the things, and it depends on what if you have a family, you're going to be looking for something a little larger, probably to fit kids in. But generally, most people think about the price. Sometimes you might think about the style or make. Gas consumption, right? Fuel economy, we've talked about that. That should be most people's concern. Safety, absolutely. Insurance rates, the fancier your car, the higher your insurance. Some people think about this, resale value. You won't think of this if you're a person who has a vehicle and keeps it for 20 years and basically drives it into the ground. You don't care about resale. Yeah, resale means though if you like to drive a newer car every 5 years or so, that means you're going to get rid of your current car and you're going to sell it to someone else. So you do think about resale, okay? And some brands resell better than others. And then you have to make that decision. Are you going to buy new or used? Or are you even going to buy a car, or you might just lease it? Okay, let's talk about, this is interesting. The following table shows taxes that are applicable when purchasing a vehicle. This is important. This table will be given to you on the provincial exam. There is no need to copy it for your reference page. Okay, but you might want to tag it or put a little piece of paper in, because this is something you'll be coming back to for this assignment. Because vehicle finance is a very interesting area. Now in Manitoba, currently there's a 7% PST and a 5% GST. so the taxes change though given the circumstance. If you buy a new vehicle, you have to pay both taxes, okay? If you buy a used vehicle from a dealership, you pay both taxes. If you buy a used car privately, like from Auto Trader or Kijiji or from your neighbor, you pay PST but no GST. Okay, and this is important. PST is calculated on the greater of the book value or the purchase price. Book value means market value. So even if your neighbor sold you the car, let's say he had a car and he sold it to you for $500, which is a great price. But in reality, it's actually worth $5,000. AutoPack wants tax on the $5,000. Okay. A safety is something that is that an auto shop will do for you. When they run you through a safety, they'll check the lights, the brakes, the horn, all that stuff. If you want a safety check done, they charge you GST only, not PST. So you can see how confusing it is, right? This is why you have to have the chart right in front of you for every question. Materials and labor, we know, we just did that lesson, both taxes are charged. And a lien search is not, no taxes charged. What's a lien search? Yeah, this is a search done to determine if anyone has an outstanding claim on the car, I guess we'll say. Claim on the car or the vehicle. So that means maybe whoever you're purchasing the car from actually owes someone some money, and they used and the person selling the car to you is not paying their bills. Someone could put a lien against their property, right? So you don't want to buy something like, let's say Dominique's buying my car, but I actually owed Cynthia money, so she put a claim against me. Dominic buys my car, but then Cynthia comes a day later and gets the car from him because she wants her money. So that should be done before you purchase something privately. Anyway, all right, this is going to be kind of a tough one to muddle through, and we're going to be flipping back a lot to page 15. So I'm going to do, I have a little tag here. I actually have a couple of them. If anyone wants a little tag, I got lots of these little. I'm going to tag my page 15 so that I have it bookmarked kind of like this. All right, let's try this. One other thing to notice is sticker price just means the price that, like, just like in the old days they had stickers for prices. That's the price, the sticker price is before all the extras and the add-ons and taxes, okay? All right, purchasing a new car. Let's try to get through these two examples before we go. And then we'll try and finish this lesson tomorrow. A two-door Dodge has a sticker price of $18,500. So that's the price just without any extras, without any taxes. In addition, a sport package is chosen with an extra cost of $875. A stereo worth $990 is installed. Freight on the vehicle is $1,250. An air conditioning tax of $100 is charged. Find the total cost of the vehicle after taxes. What is freight, by the way? What does that mean? Anyone know what a freight charge is? Winnipeg doesn't make any cars, like there's no car factory in Winnipeg, so they come from other cities. So it's the cost it takes to ship it here, usually by rail, right? Sometimes by truck it might come. Okay, so let's see, find the total cost of the vehicle after taxes. So the cost of the car is $18,500. And then we got an extra sport model, $875. And then we got $990. And we have freight. And we have air conditioning. Even though this is a tax, something really funny is going to happen in a sec. We have to subtotal all this up to see our subtotal. So my subtotal is okay, I get a subtotal of 21715. Yeah? Okay. All of this is subject to tax because these are just extras. This is still just the cost of my car. So I'm going to multiply by 1.12. And I get a cost of $24,320.80. Okay, this is the total after-tax cost.
Pretty easy.
Yeah, that's not hard, eh? All right, something we haven't talked about yet though is trade-in. Now many people have, instead of selling their car in Kijiji, they just take their old car into the dealer, and that's called trade-in value. So the dealer will give you a certain amount of money for the car, right? So Jasdeep is looking to purchase a new Escape. It's worth $27,499 after freight and air conditioning tax. Okay, great, that's all been added in. He wants to trade in his 2007 CRV. The dealership agrees to give him $4,000 for his trade-in. Calculate the final cost after trade-in and taxes. Okay, this is important. Taxes are calculated after the trade-in. That makes sense, right? Okay, so what am I going to do first? His new car is going to cost $27,439. They're going to take, what does the trade-in value do to the his cost? It's going to lower it, right? They're giving him credit for that trade-in because they're going to do something with that car, right? They're probably going to try and sell it again, right? So that should give me $23,439. Okay? That's after the trade-in value. Now what do I do? Multiply by 1.112, right? So I get $26,251.68 is the total after-tax cost. Okay. Guess we got time. Got lots of time. So far, so good, right? I think. All right, let's go to example 3. Izzy wants to buy a new car with a base price of $22,500 before taxes. That just means it's the sticker price, right? It's another name for sticker price before she does all her extras. She wants the following options. The leather seat, sunroof, and chrome wheels, $24,500, okay? State the sticker price of the car. Well, the sticker price I would say is the $22,500, and then the options are this, right? So it's going to be $22,500 plus $24,550. We got $24,950. Is the cost after the add-ons, right? Cost after the extras. Are added on. Now, we know that they can't charge me tax on this amount because I'm not, I actually have a trade-in worth $12,250, right? So they have to take the trade-in off before they do taxes. Otherwise, they're overcharging me for taxes. He has a car to trade in worth $12,250. That's quite a bit. So $24,950. Take out the trade-in. Oops. I need another 2. So $24,950. Take away $12,250. And that gives me $12,700. All right, what do I have to do at the end, Dominic?
Oh, 1 second.
Got to multiply the taxes in, right? Everything ends in the taxes. So 14,224. That's not bad, right?
So the tax is always 1.12?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's new vehicle. If it's new.
Okay.
Yeah. Or if you buy from a dealer, right? Okay. So yeah, just, you're gonna add any extras in, take away a trade-in value, add the taxes. All right, let's take a look at this last, we'll try these last pages and then I'll call it a day. Oh, because it's time to work anyway. And then I'll give you books to take home with you if you want. Now this is very important. And this is gonna have to stay in your head and percolate a bit because I know a lot has been pushed in there right now. Once purchased and driven off the dealer's lot, a new vehicle's value will start to depreciate. Have you heard that before? As soon as you drive the new car off the lot, it drops down in value significantly. Yeah. The largest amount of depreciation occurs in the first year. As a result, many people look to purchase cars that are 1 to 3 years old because it's just amazing how quickly the value drops right away. So why not get a 1-year-old car already, right?
1 minute it goes off the parking lot.
Yeah. These values have depreciated, so they are cheaper to buy, but they usually have some time remaining on the warranty. So if you buy a 1-year-old car, they're saying, it's still worth a lot of money, but you've kind of, you're not affected by that first year's value drop so significantly. And lots of times cars are still warrantied for a couple of years, so you still have the warranty of the car, right? So calculating the value after 1 year depreciation. Mansheet buys a new car that is valued at $24,000. In the first year, the value of the car depreciates by 20%. What's the value of the car after 1 year? Okay, we've worked with percentages a lot, right? So what are we going to do here? We're trying to find 20% of 24,000, right? So if I can find 20% of 24,000, that's the amount that I'm going to subtract, right? That'll be the amount of depreciation. Okay, so 20%, I don't use percent numbers in my calculations. I change that to a decimals only number. How do I do that? 20 over 100, or move the decimal, they'll become 0.20, agreed? What if I said of is? What math operator is of? When I want to find 20% of something, what do I do? What does of mean? Timesing. Okay.
4,800.
Thank you. I agree with that. 4,800?
Yeah.
Okay. This is the amount of depreciation. That's crazy, huh?
That's ridiculous.
But I think that's accurate. Like, I think it's not just a made up number. I think that's what actually happens. Okay, what's the value of the car? The value of the car is,
So 4,800.
okay, it was worth 24,000. It lost 4,800. That's what depreciation is. It's the amount lost.
So I owe me 19,200 now.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the value of the car. The new value of the car.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How much it drops. It's actually how much it drops too. Crazy.
Now, the first year is the biggest drop. And then it drops a little less, a little less, a little less. So that by the time you're driving a car that's 15 years old, like for example, it doesn't change much in value because it's worth hardly anything at that point. So, you know, it might only be worth a couple $1,000s at that point. So it's kind of going to stay a couple $1,000s worth. Okay. How about this one? Benina buys a new car that's valued at $19,500. Its value will depreciate by 18% in the first year and then 14% in the second year. What's the value after 2 years? Okay, so what's the first thing I do?
At the percentage plus
So find 18% of 19,500. Agreed? Okay. 0.18 times 3,510. So then if I take my 19,500, and this is what I lost, this is the value lost.
Subtract that.
Yeah. 15,990. This is the value of car after the first year.
And so you just do the same thing over
Yep.
again, which is 14.
Okay, so that's after the first year. In the second year, what am I doing in the second year? I'm finding 14% of, what's the value of the car now? It's not 19,500 anymore, right? It's only worth 15,990. So you're always using whatever depreciation amount they give you, and that will change from year to year, and the value of the car will change from year to year, right? So this means it's 0.14 times 15,990. So that's going to be
15,990.
yeah,
Yeah,
isn't
so
it?
that would be 2,238.60.
Okay, so then the last thing I do is I take my 15,990 and take away my 2238.60. And that leaves me with 13,751.40. This is the value after second year. So that's actually the whole answer. The answer to the entire question. So tomorrow, if you come, I'll give you a little bit of, see if you start working on that assignment. And I will give you a bit more time tomorrow to work, but I also probably try and go through another lesson just because we don't know what's going to happen day to day. So I'll try and give as much info as I can.